Hi everyone, good morning. I hope you are able to hear me.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
We can able to.
thank you very much.
Yes, Bhaskar, we can able to hear.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for confirmation. Yeah, so from today we are going to start Microsoft Power BI, and we all come across as part of the demo what we are going to discuss. I mean to say, what is the main purpose of business intelligence and where exactly we are going to use business intelligence. So what are the different types of components we are having? We just discussed about orally as part of the demo. So before talking about today's session, I wanted to take you through the what content we are going to cover as part of this. So there may be something which may not be mentioned that I'm going to highlight what we are going to discuss other than this content also. Yeah, so this is purely related to if you wanted to write a certification PL 300, you can write it. So 90 to 95% of the content is going to be covered for the certification. And if you're interested to write a certification, I'll give a dumps also. If you wanted to go for certification, once it is completed, once this course is completed, even you can also have a dumps to before attempt an exam. So Microsoft Power BI is more for data analyst. There are more than 50 different roles are available for this particular course, and whatever the role it is, when you see the JD, then you can feel are we suitable for this particular role or not. So that is important. Okay, so I have a different modules as part of this content. I wanted to take you through how what we are going to discuss on day wise, and this is designed for 45 days, and it may go for little more also, depends on the situation. Okay, so in the first day, what we are going to discuss is for a data analyst, the title itself or the role itself is saying about a data. So we need to know about what is this data. We're always going to deal with the data as a data analyst by using a business intelligence, that is Microsoft Power BI. So what is data that we are going to discuss on today, and how data is going to be generated, and what is the information and its features, and what is a database. That is very, very important for us to understand the business intelligence. And we're also going to talk about ETL processing, challenges of the data, and why we need to go for out of the data to make understand the customers of the business, and features of Power BI that we are going to discuss more in detail about on this on today. And in the day 2, we are going to start Microsoft Power BI and the installation of Power BI desktop, and how you are going to feel when you see the Microsoft Power BI desktop that we are going to see. The components we are going to discuss, what are the different components we are having, and how we can read the data from one of the data sources Excel, and visualizations, and importance of the visualizations, why we need to go for visualizations, and what are the different types of visuals we're having that we are going to come across it. So in day 3, we are going by day 3 we are going to come into the reporting design. Okay, so how we can design the report, or how we can design the dashboard that we are going to come across it. And we are having a slicers, filters, and what are the scopes of the filters that we are having, and modes of filtering. This all will be very helpful at the time of reporting design that we are going to come across it. In the report for right after the filters, the important things are slicers. Without slicer, we never expect any single report in the Power BI. So not only in Power BI, the similar kind of approaches will be there in other places also. But since we are talking about purely related to Power BI, without slicer, 100% is we never expect a report. So that much important it is, how we can deal with the slicers, that we are going to talk about it. And we're also going to talk about edit interactions, how we can control the interactions between the visuals and bookmarks, how we can group the visuals. So all those things are going to be discussed in the day 5. And then once it is, the basics are completed, and then we are going to start talking about charts. So what if I use a column chart, and what happens if I use a bar family charts? Column versus bar family. What in what situation we can go for column, and in which situation we can go for bar? We are going to take a decisions. So mostly business will come what kind of charts they wanted to see as part of the report. But this training also will help you to make you much more clear on the chart. And then we are going to talk about various charts here, line chart, combo charts, ribbon, and so on. And then specifically, we are going to talk even about map visuals. So they are also important if they wanted to see data in the form of map. If they wanted to visualize, then map visuals also is important. I came across varieties of the maps in my experience. I'm going to talk about them. And not only that, we are also having a grid visuals. Grid means you'll be having a lines, rows and columns. In the form of rows and columns, we are going to have it, that we are going to discuss about them. This type of visuals is very less chances we are going to use, but other charts are very important for the Power BI. So once that reporting design is completed, we are going to talk about the data preparation in the module 2, that is Power Query. That is one other component of Microsoft Power BI, and how we are going to have a Power BI desktop, and how we are going to read the data from the various places. What are the different options that we are having, that we are going to see as part of this. In the day 2, we are going to talk about the column operations. If I have a columns, if I wanted to apply transformations on the columns, how we can do it, we are going to talk about it. And taking only required columns is very, very important, as we are going to work as a data analyst or BI developers. In the same way, row operations also we are going to talk about it. And if I have a text data, how we can apply transformations on the text data. In the same way, how we are going to apply transformations for numbers, that we are going to come across it. In the same way, when you have a data, definitely we will be having a date, and how you are going to apply transformations on top of the date, that we are going to come across it. And apart from that, if you wanted to create any data points, then we are going to use add column transformations. We have a various options to define the data points as per the business requirement. And combined queries are very, very important wherever you go. How we are going to apply data combining, data joining is going to be happen. How we can handle that, we are going to come across that. And then we are also going to talk about data appending, data aggregation, data pivoting and unpivoting. Once the second module is completed, then the third module is very, very important if you wanted to get a job in Power BI. So the role is going to be data analyst, but you're also going to touch the SQL. The SQL is also very important. So because of that reason, we added this SQL also as part of this content. So how we are going to set up installation of SQL Server, and how we can connect and restoring the sample data, because Power BI is going to bring the data from these places. I'm going to show you how we can read the data from not only SQL Server, a minimum 10 different data sources I'm going to show you as part of the training. And as part of this SQL, we are going to see how we can read the data from the table, and what is the order of select statement, how exactly it is going to be executed. and how we can take the required data and what is the purpose of this where class. There are very important things in SQL is the functions. So if you know these functions, understanding of the DAX function that is coming under the next module, that is very, very important. Wherever you go, functions are very important. So we are going to spend enough time with the function so that you will get better clarity about it. We have a date functions, group by, aggregate functions, and how we can join the two tables in SQL. All those things we are going to talk about it. And CT is very important when you go for interview, and they're going to ask you when you go for Power BI interviews definitely, and how we can write a select statement in place of table name. And this also is very important, how we can remove duplicated records, or how can we get the top highest ranks in the interview. And removing a duplicates is very important if you want to work with a data. And the complex queries also we are going to see like join, subqueries. Again, I have given a little more in complex. I'm going to take you through as part of this day. And temporary tables and temporary variables is very important interview question when you go for attempting an interview. And temporary tables are I recommend in many places as when your data source is a SQL. And stored procedures, less chances to use, but I'm going to take you through this. If at all, if they ask any question related to stored procedures, then you can easily attempt it. And day 24, we are going to see how we can read the data from a SQL server with Microsoft Power BI. If your data source is a SQL server, how we can read it, that we are going to come across as part of this. In the module 4, we are going to talk about modeling. Again, once the SQL is completed and how we can read the data from the SQL with Power BI Desktop, we are going to see. Right after that, we are going to talk about a data modeling. So without data modeling, we never expect anything in the Power BI. It's very important. That will show how much experience you're having it. So modeling is very, very important. What are the different schemas we are having and how we can make a relationship between the tables? What are the different types of relationships we are having? We are going to talk about as part of this modeling. And how we can design it practically, that we are going to talk about it. Each and every schema, 3 schemas we are going to see as part of this. We have a star schema, snowflake schema, and integrated schema. We are going to talk about it. And what is the cross direction filter when we are creating a model? How we can control that data filtering between the tables. We are going to come across as part of the modeling. So once the modeling is completed, then calculations are very, very important. I told you in SQL also we are going to touch the few of the functions, and we are going to see more in detail as part of the DAX. In order to do the calculations, we require a DAX in Power BI, and it's very, very important. It's the heart of your Power BI calculations. So we are going to come across the various set of functions. We have a number functions, text functions. I listed them, each and every function that I'm going to take you through here. And the date functions, in order to deal with the date, how we can deal. And the time functions, very limited options or very limited choices to use them, but this today and now there is a more chances to use as part of reportings. And then we are going to talk about logical functions. We have a varieties of the logical functions that we are going to come across it. And then information functions also is important when you go for certification or when you're working. Definitely you can feel when you start working in real time, then you can feel how important they are. And filter functions, in order to filter the data as per the business requirement. We have a varieties of the filter functions that I'm going to take you through. And then we're going to talk about aggregate functions. These functions are going to help you to give the answer in a SQL as well as in Power BI. And time intelligence functions are very important. And there are various time intelligence functions I'm having. I'm going to take you through how we are going to handle it. There are other important functions that I'm going to take you through. Summarize, add columns, selected columns, and summarize columns. These functions are very important when you write a DAX queries. When you write a DAX queries, these functions are very important. And you can feel that when the situation comes, then you can feel how important they are. So once the development is completed, then we are going to start doing the administration from the module 5, and how we can create an account, how we can create a workspaces, how we can control them, and how we can set up the gateway in order to get the data from the data sources. We are going to talk about it. And we have a various varieties of the connectivities like direct query and import and live connection. And these three different things, how exactly they're going to behave when you work directly with the Power BI service or administration, that we are going to talk here. And if you wanted to create a report with existing data set, or by using Power BI service and by using Power BI desktop, how we can do it, we are going to see. And sharing up the report and dashboard, how we can do it with varieties of the ways. And report sharing, dashboard sharing, how we can share the Power BI app and publish to web, all the things that we are going to talk. And then followed by security, how we can provide the security for your report in the Power BI service. And then I'm also going to talk about Microsoft Fabric, how we can have a Microsoft Fabric. This is the new content that is not I mean to say, this is not purely related to Power BI, but this is very important if you wanted to get a job, because people are started, very few companies started utilizing this Microsoft Fabric for reporting. So Fabric is for everyone. Fabric is for data engineers, Fabric is for BI developers, and Fabric is for machine learning, varieties of the things that we can do it. We are going to concentrate more on how we can utilize it for reporting purpose. Why we need to go for Fabric when we have a already Power BI desktop. We are going to talk about all these things in the Power BI, in the Microsoft Fabric. Then we are going to talk about project explanation, that is very important, and how we are going to implement that phase 1 and phase 2. This is completely related to the project. We are going to see how we can do it. And you can explain the same thing even in the interview if you wanted to explain. And then we are going to start talking about resume preparation, roles and responsibilities. And interview questions is not at this particular place. We are going to plan for every week and 1 hour session. I'm going to specifically talks about purely related to interview. And I'll take a question and how you can, how if I'm there, how I can explain that I'm going to take you through. And we can also do the same thing. We can practice from the week 1, so that you can prepare parallelly for interview also. So this is about what we're going to talk as part of the training. Is everyone clear? Any question as of now?
No, sir.
Okay, yeah.
No, sir.
Now let me take you through this. So today's little like more theory will be there, but they are very important for understanding why we need to go for a business intelligence. The very first thing is a data. So what is this data? Why we need to go for data? Why data is important? How data is going to be there is, the data is going to be there in the form of rows and columns. data is going to be there in the form of rows and columns. Data contains what? Data contains numbers, text, date, and so on. So majorly we are going to have these three. Majorly we are going to have these three. If we take this table here, so whatever we are having here, so this particular part, this part we can call it as a header. We can call this as a header of the data. Okay, so if you don't have the header, then you cannot understand it. So this header is for only a development purpose. This header is for only developers. And if you see here, this particular part is the data. So this part is the data here. So a data cannot be understood. If you have a 3 records, if I ask you who is getting more sales or who is getting more salary, then you can give the answer. If I have a 3 records, you can give the answer easily who is getting highest salary. Just imagine if I have a 1 million records. If I have a 1 million records, if I ask you who is getting highest salary, then answer is no. You cannot give the answer. So a data is not going to be understandable. Data is not understandable. Why data is not understandable? There are going to be millions of records. If I have a same thing in the form of chart, if I have a in the form of chart, salary, and employee, then you can give the answer. So if you sort this one, you can see the person who is getting highest salary and you can give the answer easily. So report is very important for the users. Only reports are readable. Reports are understandable. Now you understand how data is there. The data is going to be there in the form of rows and columns. Now the question is how this data is going to be generated. How this data is going to be generated. That is important. That is what the second thing I'm just saying. How data is getting generated. How data is going to be generated for your business. So if you take any business, it is going to be very much similar. It's going to be very much similar if you go and take any business. 1 minute. If you take any business, let's say for example, if you take Amazon, most of us are aware of it. So what they're having a business application. They're having a business application. So why they're having this business application is to order the products. We can order the product from the web, from the website, or if you have a mobile, you can also use the mobile app to order the product. In the same way, if you take any other bank, let's say I'm taking HDFC Bank. Most of us are aware of it, right? How we can order, how we can transfer amount from one place to another, one account to another account. So they're also going to have a business application. For every business, we required application. Without application, we cannot run the business. How data is going to be generated is by using the applications. by using the business applications, data is going to be generated. Data will be generated. We are not going to prepare any data. So data will be generated by using the application. Here also data will be generated. So Amazon is having retail data, whereas bank is having financial data. So all these things we can call them as a transaction. When you order a product in the Amazon, that entire thing, that one order will be treated as transaction. So here also we are going to do the same thing. We are going to transfer the amount from one account to another account. So once you do transaction by using that application, to where it is going to load the data, where exactly the data is going to be loaded. So this HDFC Bank or Amazon, whoever it is, they're going to have a business application. The business application is going to be used by customers. We're all customers for most of the business in the market. We're going to use that. And then these details will be captured by the appropriate business systems. So here I'm taking a database. In order to store the data, whatever the data is getting from the business applications, for every business, they're going to maintain the storage. So this system, we can call it as a OLTP system. This system, we can call it as a OLTP system. So OLTP means online transactional processing system. Online transactional processing system. So data will be stored here. How data is going to be stored? In the form of tables. If you take here, I'm having various tables here. You can see. I have a various tables here. Okay, so they're going to handle it. How it is going to be handled? You just ignore that. It's not part of us at this point of time, and we are not going to be part of here. So I'm just trying to give a context how data is going to be generated. Whatever the transactions you've done, the details are going to store in the system called OLTP system. That OLTP system is a database. So what is there in the transaction? If you take any transaction, we are going to have a customer details. For every business, customers will be there. And location details, from which location customer is ordering or transferring. And product details. What else? Date. So they're going to order, they're going to do all this stuff at some point of time. If you have a huge organization, then you'll be having, when you take a product, you'll be having categories, subcategories, segments. Okay, so varieties of the channels. You may have a business in online, you may have a business even in offline. So what type of channel it is? All the details are going to be captured by transaction. So they're going to design in the way to collect all those details and keep it in their business system. So that system, we can call it as a OLTP system. So once the data is there here, then what you're going to do it? Once the data is there here, what we are going to do is, so as a BI developer, you're not going to be part of this. So what we have to know in this particular cases, there is a chances they may ask in the interview, because the person who is taking an interview, they may be having the different kind of experience also, because this is completely part of the data. So what you have to do is, in general, we have to extract the data from all these places. Like OLTP system, there will be multiple systems for the same organization. From the different places, we are going to extract the data. The process of taking data from any data source, we can call it as a extract. We are calling that as a extract. So how we are extracting? Are we extracting for the reporting purpose, or are we extracting for ETL purpose? It's a different story. So just imagine the process of taking data from the business systems is known as a extraction. So in this particular case, I am also talking about ETL processing. I just gave here what is a database means. A database is used to store the data. Okay, so let me give a note how data is going to be generated. Data will be generated by using business applications. Every business is going to have application. Application will be used by customers to generate the data. And then what is database? Data which is, let me give a database is used to store business data. The collection of tables and having a relationship between them is known as database. Or I can also say collection of objects. Collection of objects is known as database. So why we are going to use this database, you understand it, right? So data is going to be generated by the applications, and applications are going to bring the data and keep the data here. Let me say business applications will bring the data into business systems, also known as OLTP systems. So OLTP system means no one will ask you what is OLTP. Okay, so just for understanding, I'm just trying to give online transactional processing system. Now, what is ETL processing? So if you want to bring the data from one place to another place, why we need to bring the data from one place to another place? Here, the main target is report. Okay, so you'll be having a reports here, something like this. All these things I wanted to say reports. So these reports are going to be used by customers. So this side also we are having a customers. This one also is going to be used by customers only. But what type of customers? So these people are the business customers or business users. They are the part of the business. But here also we have a customers. They are customers for the business. And here also we have a customers. These people are the owners of the business or part of the business. And these people on this side, they're not part of the business. They're going to use, they're going to generate the data. That's all. So a business user can understand only reports. So to provide the reports, you have to bring the data from the database. You have to take the data from here. So in order to take the data from here, what you have to do is you have to extract the data from here. So who is going to extract the data from here? For time being, we just keep it side. I'll talk about it when the time comes. So there are many ETL tools up there here. Okay, once you extract the data, we are going to transform the data. Transformation. So why we are going to do the transformation is, if you see this particular data here, this data, if I wanted to show this by month, I don't have a month. I have only higher date. I have only date. Then we need to transform it. Now, if you see the name here, in some places I'm having uppercase, in one place I'm having lowercase. I wanted to show the consistency. So then either you have to show all of them in a lowercase or all of them in uppercase. Then definitely you have to transform it. In order to do this, we required transformation. Without transformation, you cannot do it. So once you've done the transformation, then we are going to load the data. So before that, I wanted to give a terminology here is extract. So what is this extract? It's a process of bringing data from various data sources. Is known as extraction. And then we are going to do the transformation also. It's a process of shaping. We are going to save the data, shaping data based on requirement. And then the another term is loading. It's a process of feeding data into target. So these three terms are important when you deal with the data. So once you transform the data, we are going to load the data into the target. Loading. So this target basically most of the times also is going to be database. Or we can also call it as DWH, a data warehouse. And this we can call it as a OLAP, online analytical processing system. So this is specifically designed for analytical purpose. We have to do the analysis. In order to do the analysis for your reporting, for all our activities, our data source is a OLAP systems. So OLAP systems are designed for reporting purpose. So from here, this is also, as I said, it is a database again. And once you have a data here, we are going to start taking the data into the reportings. We have a various reporting tools. We have a traditional reporting tools. We have a traditional reporting tools and next gen reporting tools also. So here we are going to have a Power BI. And here we have a traditional reportings is Excel, we have SSRS, we have Cognos, we have. There are many other reporting tools. And here we have a Tableau and so on. The very important and very widely we are using in the market is Microsoft Power BI. So this is very important. Why this is much more important is because the cost is very less. When you compare with others, the cost is very less. Okay, so now you understand what is that ETL processing here. ETL means extraction, transformation, loading. Are we going to do ETL processing? Yes, we are going to do it. As a Power BI developer also, we are going to do it. But that ETL processing is only for reporting purpose, not for data warehouse. So data warehouse ETL is different. So data warehousing ETL is data engineering. Okay, so before Power BI developers or before reporting developers, we are going to have a data engineers. So previously we used to call them as a ETL developers. Now we are calling them as a data engineers. So they're going to take exactly from the business systems, but as a BI developers, we are going to take the data from the OLAP systems. How exactly it is going to be there, we are going to talk in the project. You can see and how we can talk to the interviewers about our project or what type of data sources we have used, that we are going to talk. So I'm trying to talk about the terminologies. So what we are going to discuss about it. And the challenges of the data is, if you see here, this is not going to be readable. But if you see the same thing in the form of a report, you can easily understand it. You can easily understand. Let me show you. Just give me a minute. I'll show you how exactly it is going to be there. Now this is the data. If I have a data here, if I ask you who is getting a higher salary, then you have to spend some time. You have to spend some time, then you have to give the answer. Just in a 12 records. If you have a 12 million records, then it's highly impossible. Even if you have 1,000 records also, it's very impossible. So in order to get quick insights out of the data, we need a reporting. The challenge of the data is we cannot understand the data, as simple as that. So data is not readable, data is not understandable. But the same thing that we can make it very easily understandable with the reporting. So let me show with the Excel how exactly it is going to be there. We'll talk about how we can do all these things with the Power BI. Now I wanted to visualize this data. Now if we observe here, by seeing this, we can give an answer who is getting higher salary and who is getting lower salary. So I'm not expert in Excel to order this, but by seeing this, we can say the answer King is getting higher salary. So that is easy to do it. This is the information. Whatever I'm having here, this is the information. and this is the data. So data cannot be understandable. By seeing this, we cannot give insights, right? If you have a information, if the data is transformed into the visual, then users can understand easily. So business users can understand very easily if the data is transformed into chart. Even if I have a millions of records, I can fit the millions of records in the chart. Whereas here it is not possible. Okay, so that is very, very important. Okay, so that is what information, and the limitation of the data is not understandable, whereas information is going to be understandable. So who is going to transform the data into information is, as a data analyst or as a business analyst, we have to do it. The developers or data analyst is responsible for doing this. Okay, so this is what we are going to discuss. How we can do with the Power BI. That we are going to talk. Okay, so the features of the Power BI is we are going to provide 100% as quality numbers. Once you set up it, it will be available for all the way, and we can auto schedule. There are many options are available in the Power BI. Okay, so I'm stopping for today here, and we are going to continue the next thing on tomorrow. The tomorrow we are going to discuss about how we can install our Power BI desktop. So in order to do this, in order to provide the reporting to the users, we required a tool. The tool is Power BI desktop. So how we can do set up all this environment, we are going to see. Okay, so in today's session, we talked about what is a business application and what is the purpose of it. Everyone, we are all aware of a business application. For many businesses, you have done many transactions, you come across it, you experienced it. So when you provide all those details will be captured by the business, and that business system is known as a database, or we can call it as a OLTP system. And from the OLTP systems, we are going to bring the data and keep it in the OLAP systems for doing data analysis. So data analysis is required. We don't do data analysis directly on the OLTP system because these systems are specifically designed for only business, not for analysis. So as a data analyst, you have to do the analysis in the data warehouse, in the OLAP systems. So that we talked about it, and we have talked about ETL processing. And ETL processing is the process of taking data from the various systems and applying a transformations based on the business requirement and loading the data into the target. So at this point of time, I'm saying target is OLAP. So later fee point of time, as a BI developer, as a specific to the BI, where exactly we are going to load the data if I use a Power BI desktop, and where exactly we are going to load the data if I'm going to use Microsoft Fabric. So that we are going to see as part of our further sessions. So I'm stopping here. If you have any question, you can ask me.
All good, sir, so far.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on tomorrow. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Bhaskar.
Hi, hi, sir.
Hi, Vic.
Sir, when will you start the Azure Data Engineering batch, sir?
Azure Data Engineering, it takes a week time. Next week, we are
Okay.
going to have a demo on data engineering, and then we are going to decide it.
Okay, okay, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.